Hello, everybody. Today, we are going to be exploring New Mombasa in Halo 3 ODST. We are beginning up here in our drop pod, having dropped 6 hours ago into the city of New Mombasa, as it was in the midst of a Covenant invasion. However, as we were falling through the sky, a Covenant ship entered slip space, and the resulting blast scattered our squad of ODSTs. We, playing as the rookie in this squad, have been unconscious for 6 hours. Now, out of contact with our squad, and alone in a city crawling with Covenant troops, we must find our footing and our squad. So, we're going to be wandering around New Mombasa at night. There are some enemies throughout the city, and I will avoid them whenever I can. That's a big drop. We fell from all the way up there. But as with this squad of Covenant here, we'll try to run away. However, I believe this is a dead end, and we are likely going to have to engage in the occasional bit of combat to navigate through the city. Here we have some medkits you can use to heal yourself. And the Covenant are just over there. We have a brute and some grunts. So, let me tell you a little bit about Halo 3 ODST. As we can see on this sign here, we are in the city of New Mombasa, which is in the country of Kenya, although in the Halo universe, Kenya and Tanzania have merged together into the East African Protectorate. So, Halo 3 ODST is a 2009 video game. It is the follow-up to Halo 3 from 2007. And you'll pardon me as I deal with some of these Covenant troops here. Looks like that brute slipped on a banana peel. it serves as a sort of a side story that takes place during the events of Halo 2. In Halo 2, you may remember that New Mombasa plays a large role in the story. And when Regret's carrier, the Prophet of Regret, flees the city, you follow him through the slip space portal. So in ODST, while in Halo 2 you follow, you go through the portal and see what's on the other side, ODST has you stay behind and see the aftermath of that event from the perspective of a United Nations Space Command orbital drop shock trooper. Here we have a little car. Kind of has a Tron look to it. It's reminding me of the design, the technology aesthetic from Tron. Very, swoopy lines and stuff. A little smiley face there. And, as you can see already from our encounter with the Covenant patrol that we just took out, the city of New Mombasa is not doing very well. The slip space rupture created tremendous damage in the city, including knocking down its orbital elevator, its space elevator. And now we are navigating the city that has largely been ceded to the Covenant. As you play through the campaign, trying to find the rest of your squad, you see flashbacks from various squad members, and you see what they have been up to in the intervening 6 hours that you were unconscious. Now, something kind of fun about the squad is that if you've ever seen the show Firefly, the creators of this game were heavily inspired by Firefly, or enjoyed it quite a bit. And here's an advertisement for one of those little swoopy cars we saw earlier. And they actually brought in 3 of the lead actors from Firefly to play characters in this game. So Nathan Fillion plays Buck, Adam Baldwin plays Dutch, and Alan Tudyk plays Mickey. Another kind of cool thing they did for this game is they revamped the Halo soundtrack, given that it's kind of a side story and has a very different feel. You're not a super soldier, you're just kind of a regular soldier. And it's set at night with lots of rain and moody atmosphere. longtime Halo composers Marty O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore created a jazz-inspired sort of film noir-esque soundtrack. Depending on how the ambience shakes out, I might be able to have some of that running while this video plays, as long as it's not too loud or distracting or whatever. And you might be able to hear some of those tracks composed for this game. They're very nice. I really enjoy the soundtrack to this game. These look to me like brute weapons markings from their spiker guns. Or maybe they're leftover needles from a needler. So here we have a large plaza, and I believe we're going to have to fight our way through some enemies here. Because we need to get in contact with the Superintendent. The Superintendent. Yeah, we've got some incoming fire here. No worries. I'll just take these guys out and we'll be back to relaxing. You don't need to worry at all. So the little hot swap there. Take out their shields with the SMG. Then pop over to the pistol and get a clean headshot to finish the fight. So, we need to get in contact with the Superintendent. As I said, it will give us that objective any second. And the Superintendent is, I should have pointed him out earlier. He's represented by a little simple graphic of a face, just a circle with two big eyes. And he is, well, I say he, he's not really a he, he's just a program, an artificial intelligence. But I kind of anthropomorphize him as a he because, I'll talk about Virgil in a minute. Oh, here we have the objective: contact city superintendent for assistance. But look at this, the city is in flames. That is the space elevator, the remnants of it. And throughout the city and the surrounding countryside, as you can see in Halo 3, the space elevator fell to the ground, leaving a long horizontal trail of its wreckage. So this is just some tutorial stuff. I'll have to go through a little tutorial here, and it's not very interesting, so I'll just talk while it's going through the tutorialization. Where was I? I was telling you about the superintendent. The superintendent is an artificial intelligence, an AI. However, in the Halo universe, there are two kinds of AI. They are colloquially referred to as either dumb AI or smart AI. So if you know Halo, you might know of some of the smart AIs in the game, such as Cortana, Master Chief's constant companion, or Roland from Halo 4. And those are examples of smart AI. And they are created by scanning a human brain. Now, in the process, the brain is destroyed, and so it is, it's against the. You have to use recently deceased individuals to create these smart AIs. And some people donate their brains for this purpose. So that's how you get these conscious, human-like, emotional AIs like Cortana. In contrast, the so-called dumb AIs are produced through traditional programming methods. I don't know how exactly that methodology is constructed in the Halo lore. I imagine it's just conceived of as a more futuristic version of what we already have, large language models and deep learning algorithms and stuff. But anyway, certain human cities on Earth have these dumb AIs built in to city infrastructure, and they serve as managers of the city, basically, running the trains and the traffic lights and the crosswalk signs and all the doors and yada yada. So the superintendent is the AI of New Mombasa, and here we have strange alien symbols on the wall that are only visible when we use our visor. Interesting. Hell on Earth. There is a variety of graffiti around the map. Oh, and here's a funny little thing. This sign here for her, a sort of enlistment poster for the UNSC. In the original game, I'm playing on the Master Chief Collection. In the original game, that sign was a teaser for Destiny, Bungie's follow-up project, once they were done with Halo. So, the superintendent of New Mombasa oversees the daily operations of the city, logistically and, transportationally and such. And part of the reason why I sort of characterize the superintendent as a he is because of a man named Dr. Daniel Endesha. Dr. Daniel Endesha was a scientist in New Mombasa who had access to the superintendent. And Dr. Endesha also had a daughter named Sadie. And so Endesha, to protect his daughter, added a secret subroutine to the superintendent called Virgil. And Virgil was designed to protect Sadie. And so, using all of the tools at the superintendent's disposal, Virgil was Sadie's protector. There's a whole side story in ODST about Sadie that tells Sadie's story and the story of her father. You have to explore the city and collect audio logs. It's a cool little story and a nice bonus narrative in the game. Maybe I'll do a video on Sadie's story, just a lore video focused on that. But that's the superintendent. He becomes a shotgun. Wheel of a Halo shotgun. The superintendent is a major character in the story, as you eventually find him at the end of the game. And he has been fused into a Covenant engineer. A Covenant engineer. And you might know Covenant engineers as enemies in the game, in the Halo games. They are floating aliens called Huragogs. And Huragogs are these floating tentacled creatures that, oh, we got a couple of jackals here, that are absolutely brilliant. They're sort of like biological supercomputers. And you find a Huragog that has defected from the Covenant's army. And it has absorbed the superintendent, including Virgil, the Virgil subroutine, into itself. So that becomes a major narrative beat at the end of the game. And it's kind of cool because if you have discovered all of Sadie's story, you get a different cutscene at the end of the game when you meet Virgil. And your character is friendlier with him. So here we are, outside the destroyed Oni headquarters in New Mombasa, I decided to jump to a different area later in the game so we could explore some more of the city. We have a phantom patrolling over the burning ruins of the Oni base. And I like this base. It's in this giant reservoir, this giant pool. And there was a long bridge connected to the base. However, as you see in one of the flashback missions, the humans destroyed the bridge in an attempt to fend off the Covenant invaders. ONI stands for Office of Naval Intelligence. They're like the kind of scary intelligence officers in the world of Halo. Kind of like the CIA. But they are a military department. And they play a factor in the campaign of ODST as well, because in the opening cutscene of the game, your squad is joined by a woman named Dare, and she is working for Oni on a secret mission in the city. And at the last minute, when you guys, your squad, is going to drop and attack the Covenant, Dare reprograms your landing coordinates because your squad is being, reassigned to help her with her secret mission. And you know what? Maybe I didn't do a good job explaining what ODSTs are, in case you're unfamiliar. In Halo, it's a futuristic war game, and there are these soldiers called orbital drop shock troopers, and they are a specialized class of elite soldier, and they are basically a futuristic version of paratroopers. You know how in the real world we have soldiers who train to jump out of planes and fall to the ground using parachutes, and they can drop behind enemy lines or, do whatever. Oh, I thought I could sneak past this brute, but it caught sight of us. Well, orbital drop shock troopers are like Halo's version of that. They are soldiers who get in these little drop pods and then get shot out of ships and land on the ground to, conduct military operations. I think they first appeared in Halo 2, unless I'm forgetting something from Halo CE, but I think they first appeared in Halo 2. And they're cool looking because they've got cool armor and these kind of mirrored black helmets. So in this game you play as one of those troopers. And the story of this game is after you're separated, your character, the rookie, has to explore New Mombasa. And you know what, I'm not going to fight these guys, I'm just going to let the door close on them. There we go. You have to explore New Mombasa, looking for your squad. And it's kind of an investigation. And every time you find a new clue about where your squad went, you get to play a mission showing the events of that squad member. Or of multiple squad members. And then eventually, you reconnect with Dare, the Oni operative, and you descend into the data core of the Superintendent deep below the city and help her accomplish her secret mission. And then you reconnect with the rest of your squad, and together you fight your way out of the city, just as the Covenant begin to glass New Mombasa. And glassing means that the Covenant use their ship's massive superheated plasma guns to completely destroy the terrain. Building and earth alike are burnt. And the name glassing comes from the fact that it reduces the surface to molten glass. And at the end of the game, if you beat it on Legendary, you get a little final cutscene that shows what exactly the Covenant are excavating. Also, check this out, we've got a hunter out there. And his dead brother. Hunters come in bonded pairs, and when one of the pair dies, the other hunter enters a rage. But I'm going to do everything I can to avoid fighting this hunter, because that is a serious enemy. Alright, we've got multiple brutes over that direction, so we might have to try sneaking past the hunter again. See if we can get eyes on it. Alright, there it is. We'll just creep around this corner here. Yeah, at the end of this game, you see that the Covenant are digging up a Forerunner artifact that is buried under the city of New Mombasa. And indeed, that artifact is the giant Forerunner portal that is a major plot point in Halo 3. Also, it looks like we have successfully given this hunter the runaround, so we're okay. Yeah, the massive Forerunner portal that the Prophet of Truth uses to travel to Installation 00 And so it's a little tie-in to the story of Halo 3. A little reference. This is a cool thing up here in the sky. A giant circular glass covering or something. When you look at that fire. Holy cannoli. I was going to say that it's going to take a long time to fix this city, but then I thought about it more and I remembered that, the Covenant ended up glassing the entire city, so this is actually in pristine condition compared to what the city's going to look like in a few hours. And of course, the Covenant glassing is it's a sort of traumatic event for humanity. It's symbolic of their losing war against the Covenant. And of course, the fall of Reach, the planet of Reach, was a famous loss for humanity when the Covenant glassed the planet. We're in an underground, I'm not sure if this leads to parking garages, or, well, no, probably not, because there's buses here, so I guess these are just underground roadways leading to other parts of the city. It seems that New Mombasa has an extensive network of underground roads, which probably helps alleviate congestion on the on the surface level. ODST is a very peaceful game. Kinsler is a thug, says that graffiti on the wall there. And that is a reference to Sadie's story, Militia Ain't Worth Spit, and What Now? Sadie's story, Kinsler is the police commissioner of New Mombasa, and Sadie's story reveals him to be a corrupt, evil pig of a man. Burning car down here. But yeah, I wish there was a way to wander New Mombasa without enemies, because wandering the city at night with the jazzy tunes of Marty O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore playing in the background, it's very peaceful. Even though the city is burning, which is of course a tragedy, there's something, I don't know. Oh, we've got a patrol here. Let's take cover, see if we can avoid being spotted. Even though the city is in flames, there's something kind of peaceful in a melancholic way. And I think part of it is because there's so few bodies. It seems like they evacuated most of the civilians before the Covenant ground invasion happened, I guess. And so, for the most part, you're wandering around a city that doesn't feel like it's full of death and suffering, but it just feels more like an empty city. An empty city that's just kind of falling to ruin. a very peaceful place. There are certain parts in the campaign where you finish a mission and you're transported back to the rookie's viewpoint. And he is standing there in the rain with some jazz playing, some piano, and it's just so relaxing. Also, good job. We successfully evaded that Covenant patrol. There's another one off in the distance there. Let's see. Oh, I think we found our way back to the hunter. Yep. There's the hunter. Still wandering. Roaming around the plaza where his Bond brother died. It's tragic in its own way, you know. Even though he is a soldier for the alien army that's trying to destroy humanity, it's hard to blame most of the individual aliens, because many of them are enslaved by the Covenant, or forced to serve the Covenant under duress. For instance, the Covenant engineers that I told you about, they are fitted with remote detonated explosives, and if they are found to be traitors to the Covenant, the explosives will be detonated. And also, even more cruelly and tragically, the explosives will also be detonated if oh, here we've got some engineers here. 2 engineers. Look at them. You can see their tentacles flailing around. And then, oh, we've been spotted. And the spiky, I'm gonna try to kill this brute and leave the engineers alive so you can see what happens, because it's very sad. Oh yeah, so the tricky things about the engineers, they like to throw up shields around their allies. They're constantly shielding their allies. So you normally kind of have to take out the engineers first. Okay, there we go. So there are the engineers, and look at that. They suddenly exploded. So that is an example of the cruelty of the Covenant. They have fitted the engineers with these remote detonated explosives. And if all the members of the engineers' squad are killed, then the explosives automatically detonate, killing the engineer. And this is because the engineers are not willing participants in the Covenant. They are slaves. And so, if they were the only survivor of their squad, then the Covenant couldn't trust them to not betray the Covenant, to not run away or join the enemy side or whatever it might be. So it's quite monstrous, but the Covenant choose to just kill any surviving engineers to prevent this from happening. And I mentioned earlier that there is an engineer who merges with the superintendent. And that engineer is a traitor to the Covenant. It has fled from the Covenant. And it managed to do this without being blown up because a group of its fellow engineers came up with a plan. They all, I think if I remember correctly, I might have the details wrong, but if I remember correctly, all of the engineers around it, around this one engineer that they decided must escape, they all diffused its explosive charges separately and at the same time, so that he could fly away safely. But of course, they were all still outfitted with the charges, and so they were all immediately killed for this act of betrayal. So they gave their lives so that their comrade could escape. And I could be wrong about this. It's been, this is not a fact that is drilled into my mind, but I believe the engineer's name that escaped, I believe his name is Quick to Adjust. Quick to Adjust. I just think of him as being named Virgil because that's what the humans call him when they meet him. Synoviet Tower. Now we've got jackal snipers. Let's see if I can get another look at that name. Yes, Synoviet. That's interesting. There's a tower in New Alexandria on Reach, the planet of Reach. That is called Synoviet Tower. And Synoviet is it's a company. I think it's like construction. It's a construction company or something. Relax. You're right on time. That looks like that's a graphic meaning New Mombasa Transit Authority with heavily stylized letters. And so yeah, when you find Quick to Adjust, which his name, if I'm right about his name, I think I am, that's probably a clue about why his fellows chose him to escape. If the intention was for him to go join the humans, then if his personality was quick to adjust to two new things, then he would be best suited to attempt communication with the humans and adjust to them. And that ends up being Dare's secret mission. I believe she's originally intended to take the superintendent out of the city so that he doesn't fall into Covenant hands. I think that's the case. Or wait, maybe. I forget exactly. Oh, look at this. We can see a gang of brutes affixing an engineer with the explosive charges right there. Oh, we've been spotted. Let's just run away. What do you say? Yeah, I forget exactly if Dare's mission was to retrieve the engineer, if they knew that he was, a turncoat, or if, okay, we've got a bunch of enemies here as well. Or if she was only going to retrieve the superintendent, and then she found that the engineer had merged with him, or exactly what the case was. It's been a while since I've played through the campaign. But regardless, one way or the other, the mission becomes escaping the city with the turncoat engineer now fused with the superintendent. And that leads to a fun final mission where you have to flee down a highway, protecting Dare and the engineer as you go. Oh, that's not nice. Can you not sneak up on enemies in this game? That was weird. He turned around as I approached him. Yeah, I mean, despite the dark lighting and sort of noir nature of this game, it is still fundamentally a Halo game, and fundamentally a first-person shooter combat game. And the only stealth segment Halo's ever had is in the Truth and Reconciliation mission from Halo CE, where you're just sniping enemies, and for some reason they don't hear the incredibly loud sniper shots. Most of the time you're just running around, lighting people up with fully automatic machine guns. And I know that's not technically accurate. There's other stealth light segments in Halo. You know, if you walk into a room with a bunch of sleeping grunts or whatever. But it's not stealth is not really a mechanic in the Halo games. This is one of my favorite Halo guns, the Covenant Carbine. Here we have a vehicle think this is an elephant. Right? Is that what that is? Or am I mixing that up? I mean, I know that there's like the war elephants, like from Sandtrap in Halo 3. But also take a look at this. We have a UNSC recruiting center here. Help fight back against the aliens. That's how Sadie's story begins. She's off to go join the UNSC and fight back against the Covenant. Anyway, yeah, I think that vehicle back there is still called an elephant. I think it's just a civilian version rather than a UNSC military version. Mombasa seems like it would be a wonderful city in its prime. Lots of walkable spaces, parks, and things like that. Good public transit. And we all love good public transit, don't we? There's nothing worse than trying to navigate a place with horrible public transit options if you don't have a car yourself. Here we have a deployable cover of some kind, a large barricade. 9A. Also, I apologize if you can hear my stomach rumbling. I feel like I say that somewhat often, but for some reason I always get hungry halfway through my videos. And see what's over here. Palm trees, crates. Red lighting around that door up there, illuminating a jackal. Jackals, of course, often use sniper rifles and carbines. And I think this is a nice view to end our exploration of the map of Halo 3 ODST. I hope you enjoyed our little wander through New Mombasa. Maybe I'll return to the city to do a lore video on Sadie's story. But whatever the case may be, until next time, my friend, please take care of yourself, and I'll take care of myself, and we will see each other again very soon. I hope that you are well. I hope that you find some peace and rest. Goodbye. Goodbye.